session 5 in module 2. We'll just have a recap of what was discussed in the previous session. So in the previous session, the very first topic of discussion was generalization versus specialization. So we understood how you can split a superclass into specialized subclasses. Okay, so that was from generalization to specialization, or you can combine subclasses and come out with one superclass. Okay, so that was generalization and specialization, that was discussed in detail and depth in the previous session. We saw few examples for it. Okay, now what were the benefits of generalization and specialization? Okay, so from one superclass you can add few specific attributes and create subclasses. Okay, and from specialized classes you can combine and create a general class with qualities, with attributes, with operations which are common to all the classes. Okay, so all those aspects were discussed in the previous session, that is session 4. Okay. Also we understood what is the difference between links and association. Okay, before going to links and association, we understood a software project using an object-oriented model will identify classes and objects in that specific software, meaning that your complete project is planned, designed and deployed by considering classes and objects. Okay, now the classes that are present are not independent of one another. Okay, so they are dependent, they are related, they will be interacting, they will be communicating. Okay, so how two classes interact with one another, how two classes communicate with one another, we indicated through association. Okay, we also understood classes can have objects. We can create n number of objects for a class, and these objects can also interact with the objects of the same class or objects of a different class. Okay, now how two objects, maybe of the same class or different class, how they are related, how they are interacting, how they are communicating, how they are exchanging the messages. So all this stuff can be represented by what is called as links. So this was explored in detail in session 4, that is in the previous session. We also understood multiplicity, which was one more interesting feature in object-oriented modeling, where we can represent the number of instances of a class interacting with a different class, meaning that if we have two classes, class A, class B, see there can be multiple instances of the class interacting with class B, or we are creating many objects for a class, so there can be multiple instances of the object interacting with the class. So all this stuff were represented, it was demonstrated by what is called as multiplicity. Different types of multiplicity were explored in the previous session, starting with one, many. Okay, so few examples were discussed. So in this session we will be continuing with associations, links. We will be exploring various other aspects of associations and links with detailed explanation and examples. Okay, so we understood object-oriented modeling is all about objects and how it was different from procedure-oriented modeling. So in procedure-oriented modeling, emphasis was there on the procedures. We had taken an example of a banking software where we had seen more emphasis is towards the different functionalities in the software. For example, so we are into object-oriented modeling. Okay, if you consider a banking software, so this is our banking software, and if you use a procedure-oriented approach, you are using procedure. Now, what will be the emphasis if you use a procedure-oriented approach in a banking software? Okay, so the answer to this question is emphasis will be on the different functionalities that are there with the banking software. What are the typical functionalities? Like opening an account. So a customer may need to open an account with the bank. So there will be an explicit functionality dealing with this. There may be a functionality that is required to deposit the amount. So we may need a functionality to withdraw the amount. So these are typical functionalities that are depicted, that are used as part of the design if it is procedure oriented. Now the same thing carried in an object-oriented modeling. Okay, so how it differs? We had seen that. So if it is object-oriented, we treat all aspects of this software. We try to visualize this banking software in terms of real-time entities or objects. Now, what are the real-time entities that will be associated with the banking software? Okay, so the real-time entities include a manager in the bank, employees who are working in the bank. Manager is also an employee. Since he has a separate role to play, we have highlighted him separately. It may be the customers or clients who will be visiting the bank. It may be computers that are there in the bank. So all these aspects, which are directly or indirectly related to the software, will be taken into consideration. They will be represented in the form of classes and objects. Okay, so that is how object orientation is different from procedure orientation, which was a classical approach. So examples of procedure oriented programming we had seen in popular languages like C. So now the trend is, now the future is object oriented modeling, and it's programming. Okay. We also saw what is the advantage of using object oriented modeling. See, we can create hundreds and thousands of instances of these real-time entities. Okay, we can create hundreds of customers, thousands of customers. Okay, using the concept of objects. So that was the power of object-oriented modeling, and that is the reason it has gained global acceptance, global popularity. That is the reason it is being widely used across all software companies for coming out with a design, okay, design for the software, and even implementation and deployment. Okay. Now, carrying on with the discussion. So, we will continue the session with a brief recap of association versus link, because in today's session we will be discussing association in considering different dimensions of it, different aspects of it. Okay. So, association versus link. Okay. Now, I have two classes, class A and class B. Now, what is association? Association is talking about how these two classes are related to one another. If they are related, we use a straight line, join the two classes, and mention the type of association on this line. So, we mention it here. Okay, so this is association between the classes. This is a class diagram as we had seen. Now, what is a link? Now, for these classes, we can create n number of objects. So once again, we had explored it in the previous sessions. For a class, you can create n number of objects. For example, for class A, consider A is an object. We understood the notation for writing an object. A is an object for class A. Okay, and now my object A is related to one more object B of class B. Okay, this is the object diagram. The second diagram that you are seeing is an object diagram. The first one was a class diagram. In the second case, you can see the small letter A is an object of class A. In similar lines, B in lower case is an object of class B, that is there in uppercase. Now we have established a relation between these two objects, and if you are representing a modeling a relation between two objects, so it is through link. Okay. So this was association and link, which is used to represent the relation between classes and objects. Okay. Now, what is association and name? So, association and name. So now we will start with this aspect of the discussion. Okay, so association and names. So once again, taking the same example we had considered in the previous session. So we had taken two classes. One is the person class. Okay, so other one is the company class. So the company class and person class. So two classes are there. we had drawn a straight line between these two classes, indicating these two classes are related to one another. They are not independent, they are related. Okay. Now, how many instances of person class may be associated with company class? That was depicted using multiplicity. Okay. For example, we had put an asterisk here, and we had put 0, 2 dots and 1. So what does it mean? Okay, so it means that 0 or more people may be working for a company, or a person may not be working, indicated by 0, or a person may be working in a specific company, indicated by 1. Okay, so this was the association that was established for employees who are working in company or under an employer. Okay, now what type of association could be indicated here? Okay, so the association is works for. Okay, so works for, meaning that person works for company. Okay, so we are seeing the association, that is works for is the association here, asterisk, and this 0.1 is the multiplicity. Okay, so now what are association end names? So we'll try to understand what is the end name here. Okay, so now end name indicates the type of relation between the two classes. Okay, so in this case, person. So who is a person in the context of company? Okay, so person is an employee. So person is an employee. Okay, we write it at one end, that is at the end of the person, and how he is related to a company, or how a company is related to a person, how they are associated. So a company is an employer. Okay, so we write the type of association in a more specific way at the two ends. Okay, so at the person end we have written he is an employee, and at the company end we have written he is an employer. Okay, so this indication is nothing but the association end name. Okay, because at the two ends we have written the type of association. So person works for company, yes, it is an association. Works for is an association, but person is an employee. Okay, and company is the employer. Okay, so this is like tying the two ends. Okay, so this employee and employer now are the end names. Okay, so the end names associated between the two classes. So just I would like to reiterate, works for is the association, and employee and employer are the end names. Okay, so this is association end names. Now the question is it mandatory to write the end names when you are specifying the relation between the classes? Is it mandatory? Is it compulsory? Okay, should you write it as part of the design? So the answer to this question is both yes and no, meaning that the answer is no when you have two classes. For example, here you can see we have a person class and a company class, meaning that we have two classes here, and it is not mandatory to write the association end names. You can do without this. Okay, no need of specifying employer and employee. So this is the possibility, you can skip it. Now when it is mandatory, so when things are compulsion, when it is compulsory. So when you only have one class, and that class is referring to itself, okay, in that case association end name is compulsory. You should have it, you should specify it. Okay, so you cannot skip it because there is only one class. Okay, so what type of association if you do not specify? So it will be confusing to the reader or the person who is referring to this design document. So in order to avoid this situation, so what we have is you should make it mandatory to specify the end names in this case. Okay, I'll give you a few examples for clarity. For example, consider this situation. Okay, so we have a directory. Okay, we'll consider a directory class where this directory is, we'll assume this directory is present in C drive. Okay, so in C drive we have a directory by name, for example, we'll consider Unix. Okay, also we will consider software engineering SC. So different directories are there. Okay, also we will assume under Unix we have different or under SC we have different subdirectories. I'll represent subdirectory by a tree structure here, like module 1, module 2. Okay, so different subdirectories are there here inside. Now, so if you observe, this C drive is like an outermost directory. Okay, it's like an outermost directory which is a container. Okay, meaning that this directory can be a container. Okay, so you should specify that relation, the container. Okay, so it's a container, and also you can have 0 or more files, 0, 1, 2. Okay, also if you see a directory is having contents, for example SC, so it is having few contents. Okay, so directory can also have contents which may be many. You can have many contents inside a directory. So this was a typical example to understand when it is mandatory to specify the association end names. Okay, so in this case you need to make it clear that a directory which is both a container and having some content can be distinguished in this aspect. So I would like to take one more example, okay, where we can understand the importance of having association end names. Okay, so my second example, so example number 2, okay, is depicting the relationship between two classes, that is parent and child. So I have a class parent, have one more class by name child. So two classes are there, parent and child. Okay, fine. Now they are associated obviously. A child will have a parent, parent will have a child. So we will have a straight line joining the two classes. Okay, fine. Now I need to mention the multiplicity here. Okay, so I'll write one possibility here, 2 and star. Now what does it mean? So this means that, so 2, we have two parents, meaning that father and mother, so they can have multiple children, 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 0, because asterisk means 0 or more instances. Okay, so a parent may not have a child. Now the thing is it a complete association? Is it an association that is accepted? Okay, so the answer to this question is no. The reason being, now this parent may have a parent, they will also have parents, is it not? They will have parents. Where is this represented in this model? Okay, these parents will have parents. These parents, once again, they will also have parents. Okay, so this model, this design is not having any indicators about this. Okay, so meaning that this design is not accepted. Now what is the solution for this? So the solution is boiling down these two classes into one single class. Now what is the common thing between a parent and a child? Can we identify something that is common? Okay, yes, definitely. So parent and child, okay, so both parent and child can be or they are persons. So they are persons. So without any debate, so we can accept parent can be a person, even a child can be a person. Okay, so first thing, now we have only one class is there, and as per the discussion we had in the last instance, we understood if there is only one class, okay, fine, we should specify end names. Okay, you cannot skip it. See, in this case we have skipped it. Here we did not specify the end name. End name was not given, but still it was accepted. But the design is not acceptable. But not writing the end name was acceptable. Okay, it was in this case, but these two classes have been merged into one single class, person, and now avoiding end names is not possible. You should write it, you should specify it. Okay, how to write it, how to specify, we will see. Okay, already as mentioned, a person can be a child, or a person can be a parent. So we will represent it at the two ends of the association. So this line that you are seeing, which is like a loop to the same class. Okay, so this is the association link. This line is the association link. Okay, so this is the association link, and at the two ends of the link we have written the end names. What is the end name? A person can be a child or a person can be a parent. Also, without forgetting, we will write the multiplicity also. What is that? So star, meaning that many children can be there, and with respect to parent it can be 0 to 2. Now what does that mean? We'll try to understand in this context. A child may be an orphan, meaning that both parents are not alive, father and mother, they have expired. So in that case it is 0. Okay, 0 association. A child may just have father or mother, single parent. In that case it is 1. Or a child may have both father and mother, both the parents. In that case it is 2. So the bottom line here is, when we have multiple classes like what is depicted in the first case, that is parent and child class, writing the association, yes, it is needed. Writing the multiplicity, it is needed, but you can do without end names. Okay, it is not mandatory to write the end names, because I have not written here, I have not written parent child as end names here, or something that is tying both the parent and child, it is not written. But when you boil down to one single class, in this case we have done it, both parent and child, because of the ambiguity or issues we had that was identified. So we have represented it using a single class, and once it is a single class, writing end names is mandatory. Okay, so we have a loop here in the form of association link. So child, parent, multiplicity, so all this stuff has been represented. Okay, so this was all about association end names. So now continuing with the discussion. Okay, so next topic under discussion is ordering, bags and sequences. So once again it is related to association. Okay, so it is under the heading of association. So ordering, bags and sequences. Now what is ordering, what is bags, what is sequences? We will try to understand with examples. Okay, so I will take an example where we have two classes. So the very first class is the screen class, and the second class is window class. What does this represent? So it means that on a display screen or your computer monitor screen, the windows that are displayed to you. Okay, now how many instances of the screen you can have and how many instances of window you can have? So it goes without saying that. So there is a link between screen and window. Yes, definitely there is association between the two classes. How many instances? Okay, screen is 1 and windows is multiple, meaning that on a single screen you can have multiple windows displayed. Okay, now with this example we will try to understand what is ordering. What is ordering all about? Okay, now I will take an example of a screen having 3 windows. Okay, for example, the same scenario written in detail. For example, have a screen with 3 windows. So I'll represent it as window 1. So window 1, window 2, and window 3. 3 windows are there. The same example in further detailing. That's it. I've expanded it. Screen with 3 windows. Now what is ordering? See, ordering specifies that a class should follow a specific order. It should be arranged in a specific order without duplicates. You should not have any duplicates here. Okay. Now once again, to understand this, we will take a real-time example through which we can try to have some clarity here. For example, I will take, we'll assume you have opened a Microsoft Word document. So this is my Microsoft Word document. Okay, you have typed some content here. I have typed something, hello. Okay, I have opened a Word document. I have typed hello. This I will call it as window 1. This is my window 1. And after doing this stuff, I'll click on the save button. I'll click on the menu. Okay, so one more window will open with different options. So it will give me a save, save as. So all these options will appear. So I'll call it as window 2. And once you click on the save, it will ask you for confirmation. So are you sure? Okay. Save or maybe cancel. Okay, a typical window like this will appear. I'll call it as window 3. Now, if you consider this example, okay, if you consider this example, do we have a ordering here when the windows are displayed on the screen? And the answer to this question is yes. So you cannot directly open this window without opening the previous 2 windows, meaning that you cannot open window 3 without opening window 1 and 2. And it follows the sequence. Explicit ordering is there, meaning that first you should open window 1, meaning that you need to open the Word editor initially. Once you put some content there, you then go into the window 2, that is the save option, and Microsoft Word will ask you for confirmation with window 3. So there is a sequence, there is an ordering that is being followed here when opening multiple windows. And also you should note there is no provision for duplicates, meaning that you cannot have 2 instances of a specific window. For example, I cannot have 2 instances of window 3. I cannot have 2 instances here with same message, save, cancel. Okay. In this case, it is a duplicate. It will be a duplicate. It is not allowed. Okay. So this is ordering all about. That is, you have multiple, a class with specific order. Specific order is there. Order should be maintained in association, and it's part of the association. Explicit ordering is part of the association. Okay. Okay. So we wrote an example in general form. Now, do we have a standard way of writing it in UML? Because from previous sessions we understood all these design modeling design diagrams are represented using one of the popular modeling techniques called as UML, okay, Unified Modeling Language. Okay. Now, how this stuff can be modeled, can be represented using UML. So we'll see that. So if you are using UML, you'll be writing like this. So we are exploring how UML notation can be used to represent ordering between the screen and window. Okay. So the UML notation is so the screen. So already as mentioned, screen and window are related. One instance of the screen, multiple instances of the window, but you should explicitly specify in the design that the window will follow ordering, and that is written by using the keyword ordering within flower braces at the window side. Here you will be writing. Okay. So the message here is, by seeing this, UML, you should be able to interpret that multiple instances of windows can be opened, are available, but they should follow a specific order. Okay, so after opening window 1, then only you should go to window 2. After window 2, then only you need to traverse to window 3. You cannot skip the order, meaning that directly you cannot go to window 3. Okay. Also, you cannot have multiple instances of the window, meaning that you cannot create 2 instances of window 3. Okay. So that is a message from this UML diagram under ordering. Okay. So this was about ordering. Now we will see what are bags and what are sequences, which will be the next part of the discussion. So bags and sequences. So we understood ordering is not allowing duplicates, and contents should be in a specific sequence, specific order. Then what is sequence? What are bags? Okay. So a sequence is, yes, you will maintain the order, but duplicates are allowed. So that is the difference between ordering and sequence. So the common thing between ordering and sequence is both maintain a order. Okay. Ordering maintains the order, sequence also maintains the order. So ordering is there here. Then what is the difference? If there was no difference, we would not have used a different term. The difference is ordering does not allow duplicates, but sequencing allows duplicates. It allows duplicates. So the point here is sequencing will also use ordering. There will be a specific order that should be followed, but duplicates are allowed. So I'll use the same example that is there in the textbook. The example is that of itinerary and airport. Okay, a class diagram. Okay, so my class A here is so itinerary. Okay, so class B is airport. So class A is itinerary and class B is airport. What is itinerary? Itinerary is a travel plan, meaning that I want to move from Mysore to New Delhi or New York. I'll have a plan that I need to move in this path. So from Mysore, I'll go to a specific city, maybe Mumbai. So from Mumbai, I'll go to Delhi, and from Delhi, I'll go to New York. Okay, so this is my travel plan. So that is the itinerary here. Okay, and since I'm moving across multiple cities, the multiplicity is asterisk, meaning that many. Okay. Also, during this duration, I'll be visiting different airports. Okay. Yes. So there is a link between the two classes, itinerary and airport. There is a link. So I'm traversing multiple cities from the source place to the destination place. I'm moving across multiple cities through different airports. So we have asterisk at both the ends. Okay. So this is a class diagram that has been taken into consideration for understanding what is a sequence. Okay. Now, as per the definition of sequence, ordering should be there. Okay. I'll take an example. This is my source place. Okay. For example, I started from Mysore. Okay. I started from Mysore. So went to Mumbai. Okay, so went to Mumbai. From Mumbai, I went to Delhi. From Delhi, maybe I went to New York. So please see, while I'm moving from my source city to the destination, I'm taking a fixed path. I have a travel plan, which is nothing but the itinerary. Okay. So from Mysore, I will go to Mumbai. From Mumbai, Delhi to New York. Okay. So I have a ordering here, so it's a sequence, fine. Also it will allow the duplicates, meaning that, okay. Maybe from New York I may get back to Mysore. Okay, I can come back to Mysore. So in this case you can see Mysore is referred 2 times. There is a duplicate here. What is it? My starting point was Mysore and end point is also Mysore. So meaning that Mysore is repeated 2 times. Mumbai, Delhi, New York, they were repeated once. So this is a perfect example for a sequence which has ordering but which is allowing duplicates. Okay. If you had only considered ordering, this example would become invalid because a instance, a class, or object should not be repeated. There should not be duplicates. Okay. So this was sequencing. And what are bags? Okay. So considering bags, so bags are in both ordering and sequence we follow a fixed order. A sequence is there, but in bag there is no ordering. Okay, so we do not follow any ordering in bags. You can change the order, you can mix the order. Okay, for example, maybe from Mysore directly I can go to Delhi, directly I can go to New York. It's my wish. Okay, if plane is available, if vehicles are available, I'll take my I'll navigate as per my decision. I'll not follow this path. Okay, my plans may change, my paths may change, my options may change. Okay, so I'm not following any specific order here. So bags can be unordered also. Okay, duplicates will be allowed. It will allow you to have duplicates. Okay, so that was all about bags. Okay, so we saw what is ordering, what is bags, and what are sequences in association. Okay, and just to be specific, you can specify a sequence here. For example, in this case, if it is sequence, so I'll write a sequence here. Okay, as I had written order in the previous example of a screen and a window. So between itinerary and airport, I can write it as a sequence, meaning that it follows a specific sequence with duplicates. Okay, or if it is if it is not following any order and still duplicates are allowed, you will write as bags here. So you can write bag. So this was ordering, bags, and sequences with association. So the next topic is association class. Okay, we will try to understand what is an association class. So up to this point of time, we only were dealing with associations. Okay, meaning that if 2 classes are there, class A, class B, we have 2 classes, class A, class B. If these 2 classes are related, I will draw a line which is nothing but the association, and how they are associated I will write on the line. Okay, how they are associated, how they are related, that relation I will be specifying on the line. This is what we are discussing from starting of association. There is one more possibility. Okay, the possibility is this relation can be specified as a class. Okay, turns out to be very interesting. Yes, definitely it's very interesting and very useful when you are modeling the relationship between classes. Okay, how, what exactly it is, and how exactly it is done, we will try to explore it through examples. So we will take an example where we will consider person and the company class, the same examples we were exploring previously, that is there in the textbook. Okay, so we have a person class and also we have the company class. Okay, so 2 classes are there, person and company. Obviously they are related, so I will mark a solid line indicating both the classes are related. how they are related, how many instances of each class are related. So that you will specify using multiplicity. Okay. So this was already discussed. So many people may be working in a company. Okay, company may not have any employees, one employee may be there. Okay, so all this stuff was already discussed. Okay. Now what is the association between person and company? So what is the association here? So the association is, so works for. So person works for company. Okay, this is the association. This is the relation. Okay. So we already understood that. We already discussed it in many examples, starting from the very first session we took up. Okay. Now the question is, can we expand this relation or association into a class? Can we expand it? Can we add few attributes to this association? Can we add few operations to this association? That is works for. So yes, definitely you can do it. So I'll consider an example. Okay. Okay. Now I will make works for as a class. Now what are the attributes I can add to this class? See, if you make works for, which is a association or a relation between two classes, if you make it as a class, okay, what are the attributes I can add? What are the qualities I can add? So it obviously goes without saying, a person will work for, maybe he needs some salary. Okay, so there will be a job designation that will be associated. Please note, works for, which was a relation, is being made as a class here. It has become a class. Okay, and this class works for is associated with person and company. So that will be represented by a dotted line. You will use a dotted line. Okay, the reason is you need to distinguish it from the regular class. Okay, so we use a dotted line here. So and this class now, this works for class that you have just now created with its own attributes, so is called as association class. So this is association class. Okay. Now what is the benefit of this? Okay. How it will be useful? Okay. Now consider you are trying to create objects for the person class and company class. Okay. So the benefit here is you can create instances using the works for class, okay, which is the association class. Okay. For example, now Anil, which is an object of person class. Okay, so is working for some company. I'll write it as Wipro company. So Anil, who is a person, this is an object, Anil is an object, Wipro is an object. Anil is an object of class person, Wipro is an object of class company. Okay, we have created an association class works for. See, for how much salary Anil is working. Okay, what is the designation of Anil? So all this stuff can be represented here because of the extended capability we have in this design. What is it? So we have created an association class. Okay, so we have created an association class works for. So we can have all those details as part of the works for class. That is, for how much salary Anil is working. Okay, maybe salary of Anil is equal to some 60,000 rupees. So it has been specified, you can see. Now what is the designation of Anil? So Anil is a manager, maybe he's a manager in Wipro. Designation is specified. Okay. So what exactly we have done? We have created a class out of association, which is nothing but association class, and this has helped us in creating multiple instances for the objects with specific information. Okay, we have created it. Okay. So this is all about association class. Now the next topic is qualified association. We will try to understand what is a qualified association. So we may be into a situation where qualifying a class in association may be beneficial. What exactly is that? We'll try to explore it through examples, because theoretical statements may not help you understand what exactly is qualified association. I'll directly go to an example. My example is that of a bank class and account class. So we have two classes, bank and account. Okay. So obviously it goes without saying, account is identified using account number. So bank will have bank name, maybe SBI, Canara Bank, whatever it is. Okay. Now bank and account will be related. We'll have an association here. Okay. What is the multiplicity here? So maybe I'll consider single bank, one single bank, and multiple accounts are there in that bank. Okay. Now my objective is, I want to find out whether a specific account number, okay, specific account number, for example, there is an account number 2345, this is the account number. Okay. I want to find out to which bank it belongs, whether it belongs to SBI Bank, whether it belongs to Canara Bank, okay, whether it belongs to Indian Bank, to which bank this account number belongs. That is my requirement. I want to find out this. Now, can I do it effectively through this design, through this model that has been represented here? So the answer to this question is no. The reason is, you need to go and search for all the accounts here. Okay. So in the account class, you need to go and search for all the accounts starting from the beginning to the end to find out whether this account number is part of this bank, SBI, Canara Bank, Indian Bank. Okay. Now this is time consuming. This is not the best way of doing it. So I can use something called as a qualified class, which can help me boil down my search and which can be more effective. Okay. What exactly is it? So what I can do here is, with a class, okay, that is example with the bank class, I can attach some qualifier. Okay. I can attach some qualifier which will help me serve the purpose, okay, to identify an account without going through all the accounts. See, without going through all the accounts in that bank, okay, fine. So I should be able to find out whether a specific account is part of the bank, whether it belongs to it, okay, without searching everything, okay. And this extra attachment, this small box, rectangular box that you have attached with the class to improvise on the performance operation, so this is called as a qualifier. Okay. For example, you can associate something related to the account number which is unique to this bank, which will help me determine directly whether this account number is part of the bank or not, without going through all the account information, without browsing through this stuff. Directly I can find whether account number belongs to this bank. Okay. So this is qualifiers which will help us reduce the search in association. Okay. So this is a UML notation, meaning that with a class you will have a small box and you will write the qualifier within that box. Okay. So this is all about qualified association, and we will conclude today's session with this discussion. So just to have a brief recap, so in today's session we started with associations and links. We understood what is association end names. We understood when writing end names is mandatory, when you can skip it. We also understood what is ordering, what are backs, and what is sequencing, and how it is used with association. So we understood that. We understood what are association classes, and finally we concluded with qualified association. Okay. So in the next session, that is session number 6, we will deal with generalization and inheritance. Okay, thank you.